Yo, this is Alex from Alpha Destiny, and today I'm bringing you an exclusive live Q&A. Great way to start the month. I'll be answering all of your fitness questions for the next 2 hours. And just so you know, none of you have to timestamp this because I'm going to be doing it. So for those who are tuning in later, enjoy. What's up, Billy? Odin, Dev Dog, Mustafa, Pade, Alexa, Luca, Reppin' Time Fitness. That's an OG right there. Labib, Dirkox, Cultural 10. What's up? Just pulled 505. Good job, bro. That's a serious milestone when you're a little bit past that 5 play mark. In the building. Yo, what's up? Yeah. When plans journey, my man? Who knows? Right now, I'm not really focusing on those bodyweight skills. Just trying to get more buff. Hello, men. Yo, hello. I see the questions already coming in. Alex is always so professional. I love it. Well, I appreciate that, Tristan. Just doing my best here. Nothing fancy. Just got a light on with my camera. Certainly looks better than an out-of-focus webcam, you know? What's up, Protein Man? Jimmy H. Force. What time is it in Canada? 2:23. Like I said earlier, we're going to be going for 2 hours. Alex, the GOAT Natty YouTuber, 100. What's up, brother? Much love from Scotland. Yo, Bilal, super OG right there. Much love from Canada. Hello. All right. So, Alex is single-handedly the most real fitness YouTuber. I would say I'm up there, not to toot my own horn, but one of the realest I've ever seen is natural hypertrophy. He's very pure for this fitness world. Just tells it how it is. Bald Omni-Man is super real as well. Jeffrey Verity Schofield. You know, all the real natties that are represented. Just discovering you and I got really inspired. Thanks, man. Yo, I'm happy, man. Welcome aboard. Gonna make some gains. Bro, you're not bald anymore, man. What the hell? Yo, I told you guys. When you're a diffuse thinner and you shave your head against the grain, it gives off that illusion that you're like a Norwood 4 or whatever. But, you know, I'm not there yet. Obviously, I'm losing my hair, but not to that extent. You know, I got a little patch in the back and I am thinner, but, you know, hairline's still intact somewhat. Anyway, enough about that. Much love from Paris, Noble Natty, of course. The Noble Natty movement is badass. Unnatural atrophy. Nah. Shouts from Serbia. Okay. All right. Enough about that, guys. We're all in here. Let's freaking do this. Answer some fitness questions. Post them right now. Let's go. How would you go about cutting 20 pounds in 20 weeks? The first thing I would do is probably go on an aggressive cut for the first month. Just because those first 5-10 pounds are really easy to get off. So you might lose 8 pounds in that single month. So typically we recommend a calorie deficit that has you losing about a pound per week, right? But if you're losing 2 pounds per week, then it's going to equate to about 8 per month. Then there's some water weight thrown in there as well. So it's going to be over 10 when you actually look at the net weight, even though not all of it is fat, right? So you do 1 month on that, and then the rest of it you just slow cut. So you go back to a pound a week. This way you minimize muscle loss and retain most of your performance. I find that when you're a lot fluffier, and keep in mind, if you are losing 20 pounds, there's a good deal of weight to lose. You can certainly get away with a more aggressive deficit. It's really in the end stages where you got to be more mindful. So that would be my simple advice, man. Can you give some tips for hook grip? I can't give you any, man, because I can't do it. I got these really short thumbs and no experience with the hook grip. And I never understood the popularity of it in a general strength training context. Like, if you're not a competitive powerlifter or weightlifter, why not do double overhand with straps? And for those who say, well, if you get really good at the hook grip, it'll be equal. No, it's not. Look at Jamal Browner, one of the best sumo pullers in the game right now. There's a reason why he's not getting there's a reason why he didn't beat that other guy recently in comp. It's because the grip is a limiting factor. So, obviously, straps is superior on every possible level. Now, if you like it, you do you, but, you know, the optimal way is you strap up. Either a single strap or figure eights, like the strongman competitors. Is oatmeal and granola enough to grow muscle? Probably not, my man, because where's your protein, bro? At least in an optimal level here. Obviously, it doesn't take a lot to grow. You just need 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. But if it's only oats, which is primarily seen as a carb source, and granola, which again, you're just doubling down on that, maybe a little bit more fat as well, you're not going to get enough. But is it a good breakfast? Absolutely. That's what I had this morning, actually. Oats with strawberries. You should probably have oats every day, by the way. Oats are carbs, exactly. This is basic stuff, my man. Side delt top exercises. Well, the number one is going to be a traditional side raise, but the thing is, the resistance profile is end phase loaded, in the sense that when your arms are by your side at the top, that's where the resistance is highest. When you get close to the bottom right here, there's pretty much no tension. So you can argue that a cable lateral raise would be superior. And the thing is, you don't have to like lean away from it. You just got to raise the height of the cable. So instead of having it on the floor, as in the same position that you would do for a curl, have it around your waist level or so. And automatically the resistance is going to be lined up in the starting position. Alternatively, you can actually do side raises lying sideways on a bench. This way, when you get to the top, so basically, I'm here, right? When you get to the top, there's going to be minimal tension at the end. So you're emphasizing the length and position. Little pro tip, I think Arnold used to do those, and I think natural hypertrophy has its own variation of that as well. But that's how you do it. And also there's the Lou raise, the super range of motion lateral raises that Dr. Mike is often talking about. You know, where you literally go all the way to the top. The thing is, you're going to get other muscles at play. But in terms of raw stimulus, magnitude, as he says it, that's going to do a good job. See that guy you're talking about, man? I get confused with the actor versus the fitness influencer. So I don't even know who that is. Like, the exact name, you know? Because they're so similar sounding. And who cares if he's natty or not? How about that? If you gotta really doubt it, you know? Ha! Would you ever try an animal-based diet for only a month with experience, including fruits? Hell no. Not in a million years. Explaining concurrent periodization to a 5-year-old. So why would a 5-year-old be interested in that in the first place? You know, even if you're coaching someone of that age, like, you don't have to explain anything. It's just like, do this, do that. Hey, copy me. But I get what you're saying. You want an explanation that makes sense. In simplest terms, it can be summed up as training multiple elements throughout the yearly training cycle. And by the way, concurrent periodization is a form of, conjugate is a form of concurrent periodization. Like, I don't want this Q&A to be too long with these questions. I'm just blitzing it out, right? But the way I program it is you have a volume day and an intensity day. That's how you're dividing the stimulus. So on one session, your reps might be slightly higher. The other one, they're a little bit lower. The exercise selection can also vary, but technically, it doesn't have to be. You can follow waves throughout that time period, but it doesn't change the fact that different days emphasize different performance elements. And when progress ceases, there's typically an exercise rotation element. So that's the most basic thing I can say. You're not specializing in a given aspect. It's not a hypertrophy block. It's not linear periodization where your volume drops while your intensity increases. You're doing both every single week. But there's still a progression system to that. And I talk a lot about this in my training videos and book Naturally Enhanced, which is very simplistic. Any tips for a 13-year-old lifter? I would tell that 13-year-old to focus on the basics and stay away from these TikTok influencers who are going to overcomplicate your life and have you focusing on all these movements that are optimal, quote unquote, aka have you spin your wheels for God knows how long. Because all you really got to do is focus on the fundamentals for now. But you're going to be so derailed, basically paralysis by analysis, listening to these dudes. Especially the ones who are maybe a little bit older than you and absolutely have no idea what they're talking about because they got on SARMs at a young age. So maybe they started lifting at 15 and then they chose to be enhanced right off the bat. So now they're maybe between 17 and 19 years old, absolutely clueless. Don't know what real training's about, and they're not going to keep their physique either the moment they get off that garbage. So if they can't even help themselves because they took the easy way out, how are they going to help you? They won't. You're just going to follow some entertainment nonsense, get fucking nowhere. So my advice is to primarily stick to YouTube fitness. Obviously, there's a few guys on TikTok that give good information there. You know, if you talk about the biomechanics crowd. But either way, progressive overload, the fundamentals, eating a calorie surplus, especially now at that age. You're trying to grow. Don't try to stay ripped year round now. Like, you're probably going to recomp anyway. Just by increasing your muscle mass, that'll lower your body fat percentage. Just to say, when I put on my first 10 pounds of muscle, I still had nice abs by the end of it, but I was gaining tremendous amounts of fat at the same time. But by the end of it, it didn't matter because the muscle was so proportional in the sense that it didn't look as if I gained a lot of fat. That's what you got to do. Bulk. Get strong. I'm not just going to say the big three. It could be variations of that as well. Certainly don't follow a system like starting strength. But something like my novice program or what other guys are talking about on YouTube these days. Jeff Nippert has great content for novices. There's so much stuff out there. But like, progression is where it's at. Why wouldn't you even give animal-based a try even for a month? Because I don't subscribe to fraud diets, and all those carnivore people are doing the world a great disservice, if you ask me. It's not evidence-based. They're marketing gurus is what they are. And at the end of the day, I'm going to stick... If animal products are to be included, it's going to be 80% plant-based, 20% animal-based. Something like a Blue Zones approach. So I'm not going to entertain fad diets. I refuse to. Have you tried any form of martial arts? Yeah, I did some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing a long time ago, very short term. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and during that time frame, I got very fit. And I think that's when I started getting really defined in my abs. Not because you can spot reduce, but because you burn so many freaking calories doing those workouts. They are something else. Like, really, if I look at my training experiences, the MMA type stuff and swimming, plus the Iron Wolf. So those top three right there will get you into wicked shape. When's your calisthenics program coming out? Sometime this year. I can't give you any specific dates right now, but it is in the works. It's going to include everything you need to know about weighted calisthenics, body weight stuff, just with some simple progressions, GPP, the works. The only section that's going to be not the best, quote unquote, is the legs. And I'm going to come out and say that it's not optimal to begin with for that purpose. But it's definitely going to be a section regardless, like on pistol squats and doing those weighted, of course. All right. Yo, guys, just going to say, if you can minimize the super chats, that would be awesome. I want it to really be back and forth like we're doing right now. But I'm going to answer these two, okay? Great channel, Alex. Many look up to you. Congrats on where you've come so far. Best form and bicep exercises for long arms, please. Help a bro. Long arms or not, doesn't matter, my man. You're doing a simple curl, elbow flexion. The biceps are not a complicated muscle group. But if I can give you a simple framework, it would be to focus on the lengthened and shortened position. So that's dumbing it down, right? But if you want a nice stretch on your biceps, you're going to want to do something like an incline dumbbell curl. Get stronger at those. If you're at 30 pounds, build up to 40, 45 pounds using traditional bodybuilding rep ranges. It could be as low as 5 reps, as high as 15 on average. The rep range doesn't really matter, just the proximity to failure, right? So anything with a stretch is going to be your go-to developer, right? That, the Bayesian curl, which is basically a cable curl with the resistance coming from behind you, is also going to work the lengthened position, because when your arm is locked out behind you, the direction of the cable is already perpendicular to your forearm. So that's what determines how heavy it'll be in a given part of the range of motion, or where you're stressing the muscle the most. For example, when you do a barbell curl, it's going to be a mid-range emphasized movement, because it's just straight up gravity, right? When your arm forms a 90-degree angle from here, that's where the tension is highest. Here, not so much. The bottom, same thing. So you want movements that make the bottom portion the most difficult, like those two that I just mentioned. At the same time, you'll want to hit the shortened position of the biceps. So this is anything that is squeeze based. And probably the number one motion for this is going to be a preacher curl with cables. So you're locked into place, which is a lot better than raising your elbows up like this when you do your curls, when you're trying to emphasize the squeeze, right? So you're already in shoulder flexion, you just got to curl. Get that squeeze in. Very strict. Again, you want to do with cables because the dumbbell version has no tension at the top. It's kind of an awkward resistance profile, and you're at a mechanical disadvantage in the bottom. Not that doesn't work, but if you are going to use dumbbells, the flip side would be the spider curl, which can either be suspending your arm on something like a preacher bench, but it's just 100% vertical, so you're basically here when you're doing it, or you do it chest supported, so you're leaning on the incline bench itself and doing your curls that way. Those would be the two main builders, right? There's obviously all kinds of other stuff you could do, like guillotine curls, but at the end of the day, once you understand the principles, it doesn't really matter what the exercise is. Just think about lengthen and shorten position. And then the mid-range is just any basic curl, you know? And then for forearms, a lot of that is going to grow from your pull-ups, to be honest with you. Just getting your grip strength improved as a whole. But if you are someone who struggles with that, reverse curls, hammer curls, just to work on the brachioradialis. But at the same time, isolating your forearms with direct work. So the wrist curl, I actually recommend it when standing up instead of doing it on the bench. You're going to get a much better squeeze at the top. It's going to be better. So 2 dumbbells, you're standing, curl like that. That's it. If you look at my forearms, man, they're freaking jacked. I used to do a lot of that stuff back in the day. You know, instead of like that. Alternatively, you could do the wrist roller, but not the one where you gotta have your arms out directly in front of you, because that's gonna tire out your front delts. Instead, anchor it with a barbell. So like the sleeves is what I'm talking about, because they spin, right? You suspend a band off that or a rope, and you just get to work with a loading pin. You know, I actually made a video on this a long time ago. But those would be the best for the wrist flexors. Then wrist extension, less important. You're going to get a lot of that from your reverse curls, you know? But if you do want to hit that, you could. I just think it's overplayed for most people. It's really the wrist flexion that's going to get you those gains. But yeah, that's how you would do it, man. Long arms or not. It's simple stuff. Thank you for that super chat. All right, Alex, I've been cutting for 6 months and lost weight from 213 to 185. Nice. I'm 6'3", but I think I'm still 15% body fat, skinny fat. My lifts are 265 bench, 390 deadlift, 275 squat. Do I continue cut? Probably not. Are you sure you're 15% body fat? I think maybe you look lankier because of your limb lengths, but I doubt you're as skinny fat as you're claiming, especially with a 265 bench press. Like, I don't know what your wingspan is, but there's no way you look skinny fat with long arms and a 265 bench. I strongly doubt that. I would suspect that you have body dysmorphia. Maybe your deadlift is a weak link, actually, now that well, actually, not really. It's more so your squat, but I don't know, bro. Like, I think you have body dysmorphia, probably. Or, like, you really just, I don't know. You guys want to help answer this question? At 6'3", like, what is that in centimeters, bro? Height to centimeters. That would be, see, most of the charts go up to like 5'10", bro. See, just bear with me for a sec. I'm not good at this math, bro. So that's about 190 centimeters. Okay, 190.5. Okay, gotcha. So look, usually when we talk about a lean state, looking big like that, it's gonna be about your weight in centimeters. For example, when I'm 165 pounds, aka 165 centimeters, around there anyway, I look pretty freaking lean, usually about 12% or so. And then when I go way below that by another 15 to 20 pounds, that's single digit territory. So if you're at 185 at 6'3", that means you're 5 pounds below what would normally be a pretty lean weight. So maybe you're not 15% body fat, but a little bit less, maybe 13%-ish. And you just got to have a little bit more muscle to fill out your frame more because it's a bit longer, right? But if you want to like get even leaner, then that's your prerogative. But why do you want to? That's what I want to know. Like, shouldn't you bulk up to 200 something and then do another cut in the future? If your numbers are what they are and you look skinny fat, quote unquote, then clearly lack of muscle is the issue. It's not that you got to get more ripped, if that's what you're claiming anyway. But at the end of the day, like, I can't decide what you want. You know, this guy says, I'm 170 centimeters, but 138 pounds, not quite shredded, more like 15-ish or a little less. See, that's another thing. Like, guys don't realize how much weight you got to lose. I had to get down to 145 pounds to be like 8% body fat. If I wanted to be stage shredded, like peeled 6%, I'd probably be around 135. And that's 30 pounds below the centimeters. So all I could say is put on more muscle, and you won't have to get down to 170 pounds or whatever. You know, do another bulk for next year or two or 6 months, and then do another cut back down to 185. You'll probably be a percentage down in body fat. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, these are just vague recommendations. I'm rambling, but I hope something that I said clicked here, as well as my viewers in the comment section. What's my height? 5'5.5". Alex, ever heard of Dennis B. Weiss? I have no idea who that is. Is that someone I should be concerned about? Let's look him up. Yukon Hercules. Is this an old school bodybuilder that I'm unaware of? Because I've been watching a lot of, actually, what's it? A Golden Era Bookworm. I love his channel. He has a lot of really good information on what the old school greats did. And actually, One guy that I was incredibly impressed with was Fred Rollin. And I'd like to show you guys how he looked like. Fred Rollin or Fred Rollon. Hold on. Was that his name? Fred Rollon? Yeah. All right, guys. Show you something insane. Let's go scene 2. See this guy right here? Fred Rollon. Would you say he looks like a fake natty? Like if someone looked like that today, he'd be getting called out on social media. Like there's no way this guy could be natural. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, this guy probably looked like that in a time where steroids were invented. This picture must have been taken in 1954 because that's the age that everybody loves to reference. Well, you'd be wrong because this is 1905. Yeah, 1905, guys. No roids. This guy's bigger than me. Look at his back. Insane. Like, you know, and they didn't even have the information we have now. Looking like that. You see why I'm so impressed with the old school greats? Like, this is what natural bodybuilding should have been. Straight up, guys. Not the craziness that we see today. It's absolutely disgusting what it's become. But stuff like this motivates me, man. So what do you think about that? 1905. Crazy inspiring, eh? Fred Rollin was very strong to boot. Yeah, apparently he was able to overhead press like 120 kilos, and he didn't even train for it. So imagine, he didn't even have like the modern knowledge. Crazy. Would you ever hop on the sauce after reaching your genetic peak? Maybe just test. Absolutely not. First of all, genetic peak, I don't believe in that. I think it's a scam propagated by steroid users to justify their mediocrity because they gave up. They were making such little progress. They were like, oh, I hit my genetic limit. No, you fucking didn't. And there's one guy on YouTube right now who has a lot of experience in competitive bodybuilding. And he's like, yeah, I hit my natural limit and I went on the stuff, right? Problem is he didn't. He was still making gains, just at a very small rate. So what does that mean for the rest of us? The only thing I would genuinely consider, and it's a big if now, is if my testosterone levels were completely down to the point where I'm literally losing most of my muscle and my quality of life is garbage. I become depressed. I have no sex drive, no energy. I am below the reference range in which I would actually need legit TRT. Not because I ruined myself, but because I'm an old fart. Maybe I'm, I don't know, 60-something years old or my late 50s. Like, first of all, I don't think most guys in their 30s need that to begin with. But like, whatever age it is, if the doctor says, yeah, this is a really good idea for you, you're going to live longer, it's going to be better, okay, fine. But if I'm like at the low range, but I'm still normal, I'm not getting on that stuff. So I think the lowest amount is like 300 nanograms per deciliter. That's what they recommend. Well, if I'm at 300, I'm not getting on TRT. I'll have to be in the 200s or the 100s, wherever the fuck the doctor says is ideal, you know? But yeah, if I can avoid getting enhanced, then I'd be very happy. And I'd preferably love to stay natural for the rest of my life. If I can be 90 years old and have normal test levels, that'd be great. But we'll see what happens, you know? I'm in this for life. Alex, Conjugate for little experienced lifters. What do you think? What do you define as little experience? If you're a novice lifter, I would not recommend the Conjugate system because, like I discussed with the teenager, you need to focus on the true basics. And Conjugate, although not complicated, could be a little bit confusing for first-year lifters. You might not know which variations to rotate through. You might pick stuff that's really whack. And just out of a fear of steering you in the wrong direction, I'd say like run a basic novice system. Now, if you put on at least 10 pounds of muscle, you can squat close to 300 pounds, bench 185, 200-ish. Great, you're ready. But I would say for most people, it's going to take at least a year and a half of training before you consider that. And don't rush it. Enjoy the gains that you're making right now. How old is Alpha Destiny now? Well, that's kind of a secret, but like, I'll announce it one day. You know, I started making videos at a pretty young age. I was still a teenager. Put that into perspective. But I'm not in my early 20s. Let's just say that. I love you, Alpha Destiny. Thank you for everything, bro. Well, thank you for being here with me today. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you out. It's my pleasure, guys. Our planche, one of your goals one day. Nah, man, I don't really care about the planche. Like, I gotta want it. He is 26, maybe. I'm older than 25. And no wrinkles, bro. That's the natural lifestyle right there. If you watch my videos from 2017, look at my face. There's not a huge difference. Obviously, there is maturity that comes into play there, but, you know, when you live a healthy lifestyle, you do it the proper way, you're going to age real well. You'll be more fit than when you were younger and have a better physique. The older I get, the better I get. I haven't seen any, like, obviously I'm not old, bro, but I haven't seen a decline in sex drive, gains, anything. If anything, actually my immune system is even stronger now than when I was 17. And that's no exaggeration. When you're hopping on Finasteride, I don't plan on it because I don't want to mess with epigenetics. What if I ruin my life off that stuff? No way. I don't think that all these post-Finasteride syndrome testimonials are just nocebo. I think some of them are real. And if it happens to be a 1% risk, yes, you heard it right here, 1%, too great of a risk for me. I'd rather be bald, bro. And you know what? I rock it, and you know it. Bro, when you gonna get the hell out of Canada? Bro, I used to love Canada. Nowadays, I'm questioning it, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. The thing is, you meet certain people here, it's kind of hard to get out, you know? And I am in a long-term relationship, and, you know, she's good here. She likes her job, and I don't mind it either in the sense that I work online. I'm cool. I grew up here. You know, overall, there's a lot of benefits. But, I don't know, bro. I don't know. For now, I'll just stay here. Come to England. That would be cool. I always love British people. Straight up. Move to Tampa. What do you dislike about it? I'm not going to go there, guys. It's going to get super off topic if we go into that. But, yeah, UK, that's what's up. I love the UK. I want to go there. If I go to UK, guys, we're going to do a meetup, you know? I'm definitely going to travel there in the coming years, and I'm going to announce it. And we're going to meet up, we're going to train, it's going to be cool when that happens. Okay. Yoons Benkale. Weighted calisthenics better than lifting weights? It's not better or worse, it just is. Resistance is resistance. And weighted calisthenics has your body moving through space using the same movement patterns as you would do with weights, but there's that extra athletic component. So like, for pure hypertrophy, some movements are a little bit worse, a little bit better. They kind of balance themselves out. And here's what I mean, right? If I do a weighted push-up, is that any different from a flat barbell bench press? Like really? Let's say I'm grabbing onto parallettes. I have the same angle as well. same range of motion. What you could argue is that with a push-up, there's more serratus activation. It's easier to protract at the top. You're protracting under resistance because you're facing down, lying down on the bench. You can also say that core strength can be a potential issue. You might have that banana back. But then again, most guys are benching with a huge arch to begin with. So is that comparable? I'd say so. And you could say that loading it up could be a little bit difficult. But then you got to look at what most guys do. Not my setup. I showed you guys how to load it with heavy ass weight. Backpack with chains. You can get like 160 pounds in there minimum. And let me tell you, as someone who's bench 405, that's not an easy weight to hit. So if I compare those two, similar hypertrophy benefits for sure. Maybe push-ups are a little bit easier on the joints, potentially, or a little bit hard on the wrists. Dips, you can argue, are better than the bench press because the range of motion is intensified. So a bench, you're going to stop right here. In a dip, you're going to go past the body because there's nothing to stop you. The range of motion doesn't stop when your chest touches the bar. It just stops according to your active range of motion. Way to stretch is initiating the pecs, you rebound back up. So is that better for hypertrophy? Probably. But then you could say that it's hard on the shoulder joints. See where it gets nuanced? What about pull-ups versus lat pull-downs? If I'm doing an iliac lat pull-down versus a neutral grip pull-up with my knees up, weighted, what's going to be better for hypertrophy? Well, as a general builder, I'd say the pull-up is probably a bit better, but maybe for the iliac division of the lats, the pull-down has a slight advantage. Keep in mind, though, it's funny that guys don't mention this, because I've been experimenting with this shit. You are going to be a little bit limited in weight. What I mean is, you have to put weight on your bench, or else it's going to flip you forward. And I never realized that until I started doing the exercise. I put up like 3 plates minimum, and all of a sudden, my bench was tilting forward. So when I see these guys who don't have a bench, bro, they're playing. That's not a real workout. That's fake. Or they're just super freaking weak. They got no back. And in that case, what are you even doing? So, yeah, I'm rambling, but there's a lot of comparisons we can make. When we talk about rings, that's basically equivalent to your cable setups. The straps, the direction of resistance, But I can't say that one is inherently better. Objectively better. Very good explanation, thank you. I'm happy that was informative, man. All right. I see the bicep flexes in here. Yeah. Looking mad goofy, my bro. I don't care. When I woke up from my sleep, my lower back hurts. Kindly some advice on lower back pain, strengthening, and free from lower back pain. So maybe you gotta change your mattress, bro. If you're on those really soft beds, your spine... How do I phrase this shit? I always forget how to phrase it. But basically, you want to maintain that... It's going to sound bro science the way I'm going to explain it, so I'm not even going to bother. But look, sleep on something hard. Not those super soft beds. I use something that's really tough. To the point where I even had to buy a freaking foam thing to put under the mattress. Because it was too much. You don't want to sink in to your bed. Actually, when I did ego lifting way back in the day on Good Mornings, I had to sleep on the floor for about a month. It was basically the only thing that I was able to get away with. Because when I would go on those soft beds, I'd wake up in the morning like, this is horrible. And it takes you an hour or so to really get tight again, I sleep on a hard mattress and it's pretty comfy. Yeah, you get used to it. That's what I would say to that, bro. And also, you want to think about spinal decompression when you're awake. And the best thing that I found is doing reverse hypers, belt squats, and hanging off a pull-up bar. But specifically the reverse hypers, Whenever I start getting lazy on those, I do feel my lower back a bit. Because one thing that guys don't know about me is that I am a bit sensitive in this region. And the reason is that I have some of the worst deadlift leverages of all time. Part of why I'm such a good bencher. Do you see many natties pressing 405 at 185? There's a reason for that. For one, I specialize and I know what I'm talking about and I'm consistent and I love this shit. But secondly, my leverages ain't bad. Let's keep it real. But those same leverages are to my detriment on deads. So when I do super deep ranges of motion, you know, sometimes you can feel your lower back a bit. Not gonna lie. So that's where measures come into play. Your special exercises need to not put more compressive forces on your spine. And especially getting fluid into the lower back. Very important. So high rip reverse hypers are freaking money. And I do those every time I do my leg workouts, at least in an optimal sense. If I'm lazy, I'll skip them out. But trust, you feel the difference when you're on it versus not. Ian Graham White, collab with Rick Boogs when? The world will never know. That's all I'm going to say to that, bro. I have no expectations about collabing that way. Unless he's highly interested, but I'm not going to push for anything, man. All right. Invictus. Aha. Have you ever heard of Stuart McRobert and Brooke Kubik? They're both natural fitness publications from the old school era and were and still are huge hits. 100%, my man. So Brooks Kubik wrote the book Dinosaur Training. I read that years ago. I think in 2015 was the first time. And it revolutionized the way I looked at training. And I found it so inspirational that he was referencing all these old school greats that were strong as hell. Arthur Saxon, Eugene Sandow, he talked about Louis Seed, referenced the Iron Mind Company, which I've been supporting for a long time now. And just the methods that were utilized, like, one second, the singles, the bags of flour. You know, I think Arthur Saxon was able to lift a 300-pound bag of flour. Like, that's serious stuff, man. Not that I've ever tried that, but these people were ahead of their time. The bent press, you know, some stuff got out of favor, but it was a lot of brutal compound movements. The basics, barbell back squats. I think there was even a strength standard of getting like a 405 for 20 RDL and a 500-pound back squat. 405 bench, that was talked about, and how many of the old school grades did it. Just a lot of references as a whole. Paul Anderson, progressive range of motion, conditioning, working hard, which a lot of guys are lacking today. Beautiful stuff. And then Stuart McRobert, it's funny you mentioned his name because I'd forgotten his name specifically. But I read his book, and he had some unique advice in that book. Like, one of the methods was on training the calves, and I think he would go in like a frog stance while wearing these really heavy boots. And he would be on his tippy toes and he would walk. So like, imagine you're like in a deep knee bend and you're walking with these heavy ass boots on. That was one of the methods, I believe. And there was other really good stuff that I can't fully recall right now, but I have that book. I just gotta look at it again. That was insane, man. Like some real old school secrets that you never hear anywhere else. So I love this stuff, guys. The old school lifters are truly inspirational. Even Brooks wrote a book on the overhead press. I bought it. It showcases the routines of like 5 different greats. There's Paul Anderson's routine and like a few other dudes. It's just like how guys got strong in that era. In the 1960s, I think, there were dudes at my body weight overhead pressing over 100 kilograms. Put that into perspective. So, yeah, I love that for sure. And thanks for the super chat. Follow the novice program, 95 kilo floor press, 90 kilo box squat, 170 kilo trap bar dead, all for 5 reps in multi-sets. I'm 95 kilos, 5 for 10, 30% body fat, bulk or cut. You know, I might tell you to cut for the simple reason that your floor press is damn good, by the way. Excellent stuff. But your legs are lacking. I have a strong suspicion that you're intermediate in the upper body, but still a novice in your lower. And maybe that's because of past training experience. It's possible that you worked out for a year or two, ran my novice program, got good gains in the upper, but because you were so far behind on the lower, those are the numbers you have right now. So that could use a little bit of work, to be honest with you, especially the box squat. Like your floor press should not be higher than your squat, just to say. And so because of that, you're going to be able to cut down to 20% body fat and reach intermediate numbers, is what I'm saying. So that 90 kilo box squat, I got to do conversions, kilograms to pounds. 1 second. So in pounds, you can probably get it to 140 kilos while at the same time cutting down to 20% body fat, which might sound insane. I know it's a high standard, but people don't realize what high body fat can do. That's where you're able to main gain. That's where you're able to recomp. Not when you're freaking shredded, man. It's when you're a big boy and you still got gains to milk, especially on areas that haven't reached their potential yet. So I would tell you to cut. Now, obviously, your upper body might not progress at the same rate, but it's still going to happen. It's still going to happen because you're fluffy enough to make it work. But I might see you plateauing around, 110 kilo floor press or so. Still going to make good gains. But good job, man. So, Froni Nikolai, do you think you will ever reach a 200 kilo bench? Quite possibly. Provided that I do not get injured and probably push a heavier body weight, I don't think it's unrealistic. Right now, it's a long-term goal. Let's say a 3 to 5 year time frame. I have no expectations about anything. I'm not rushing it. I don't care when it happens or if it happens. I'm just continuing to get stronger at that which I trust. Addressing my weaknesses, just enjoying the process. Like right now, doing a lot of Larson presses. I did 315 for 6, no retraction. I want to get it to 10 reps. That's probably going to give me above 365 Larson press, to which my flat bench is going to be over 405. Heck, it might even be at it right now. Maybe I could do 410 with a little bit of peaking. But I'm just like, I don't even care about my 1 rep max strength necessarily. I'm just getting stronger at everything. You know, general strength, bro, and just getting bigger as a whole. So eventually, like, provided I continue on this path and I don't get snapped up, I think it could happen for sure. And a lot of us are capable of a lot more. Is Matt Vena natural? I think he's natural, but has really good genetics for strength. And obviously, he optimized his program at a very young age. So kudos to him for that. A lot of us made many mistakes, like when we first started training. I feel like he got his shit together like that. So he got far, man. Very inspirational stuff when you look at his numbers. All right. What are your calf measurements and how you achieved it? Is workout every day a good idea for calves? Aren't you born in 1999? No, I'm not. Before that, bro. I'm over 25, I told you. So, my calf measurement, I haven't checked in a long time. It might be between 15 and 15 and a half. But the thing is, I did buy myself a calf block recently, and I want to blow them up. I think I can get 17, no problem, to be honest with you. And the reason is that I might have good calf genetics, maybe, because my sister has jack calves, and my father has godly calves, like insane bodybuilder level. His might be between 18 and 19 inches. He doesn't even train them anymore. So because of that, I don't know. I think when I start training them, they're going to do well. I'm not particularly concerned. But we'll see. Maybe I took after my mother's side. I don't know. But I'm going to work on them. I'm going to give it an honest shot. And in terms of like training frequency, I don't think you need a high frequency approach necessarily. Just high intensity. That's where a lot of guys mess up. You want to train your calves probably to failure with heavy enough weights. And you want to stretch out at the bottom. Make sure to use the full range of motion now. So if you're training at home, for example, don't just have your feet flat on the floor. You want to elevate them so that your foot is like this. Remember, the lengthened position is where you're going to put on most of your mass. And when you're in that position, you want to hold it for a good 3 seconds, maybe even 5. And that's it, man. Get stronger over time. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Do the standing calf raise and the seated. Or the donkey calf raise. Or all 3, you know? And that's it, guys. All right. I haven't done deads before. And I did 270 at 155 and I'm 18 years old. Is it a good starting weight? Also, hernia runs in my family. Can a weight belt protect me? First of all, that's awesome work, man. For a first time, very impressive stuff. I've heard some guys that can do like 225 on their first attempt. I knew one guy who did 330. Another dude was a genetic freak. He got 4 plates, but he was heavier than 155, and he might have been like 20 or something. Look, it's good pound for pound. Certainly amazing if you've never done a hip hinge in your life. So the way I see it, you're probably going to go very far, and you might have good leverages as well, considering your age and weight. So I can't say anything besides that because we don't know what's going to happen until you start training deadlift consistently. Regarding weight belts, maybe it can help prevent hernias. I don't know. My father has a hernia. He never lifted as heavy as I did. I seem to be okay. I trained beltless for years. I started wearing a belt in 2017. And it might help with that. The only advice I have heard, I think it was James Tinyvest, he said this years ago, was that if you eat a lot of food, so your stomach is like completely distended because, you know, you just stuffed yourself, it might not be good to do heavy lifting immediately after. Like, you want to wait till everything is digested, or else it increases the chances of getting a hernia. Basically, when you're in a bloated state, that's when it could be problematic. That's what I've heard. This could be total bro science. I haven't the slightest freaking clue. I don't know. I've also heard Calisthenics say that if you do staggered dumbbell rows with a knee up on the bench, that can give you a hernia. But I think he's the only guy who ever said that. And I've never seen bodybuilders complain about that being an issue. And that's pretty much how everyone does their dumbbell rows for the most part. So I don't know how valid that is. All I could say is the food thing, you know? Don't be bloated to the max and then go do a beltless pull. And I would say that a belt might help a little bit. But that's it, dude. Thoughts on Conjugate, 4 days, max a week, upper, lower, 1 lift each day. Bench, squat, deadlift, OHP, different variations, doing 2 to 5 or max instead of 1 or max. Okay, I see where you're going. That would actually work really well, particularly because you're dividing it into movement-based days. So this is not an upper-lower system. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's bench day, squat day, overhead press day, and deadlift day. Or did I mess up the order? I can't even remember at this point. Regardless, just off the exercise rotation, you're doing different movement patterns. That's going to allow you to use a higher intensity for longer. That's one of the secrets to doing these high intensity programs. It can't be the same stuff every time. So for example, if on Tuesday you did max effort deadlifts, and then on Friday you do, again, max effort deadlifts, way harder on recovery. At some point, you're going to have to take a deload, and probably very soon. Whereas if it's squat and dead, there's more of a blending effect. and so you can get away with it. And then the bench and overhead press are so vastly different in terms of the absolute loads that can be used that you're probably less likely to run into issues. Because I can tell you for an absolute fact, if you do a 315 bench on Monday, and then Thursday you're going to come in and do a 275 bench with 30 pounds of chains, that's harder on your recovery than doing an overhead press of something, you know? So, yeah, that's a good idea. Then you said instead of doing a 1 rep max, you're going to do a 2 to 5 rep max. I would do the 1 rep max, to be honest. But once a week. So if you want to be real smart, because your intensity is so high, Monday, do a 1 rep max. Tuesday, stick to that 2 to 5 rep max. Thursday, do another 2 to 5 rep max. Friday, 1 rep max. So it's inverted. This way you're not maxing out on back-to-back days, but you're still maxing out twice a week. And then the other sessions, the intensity is close enough, but you're not quite doing singles. You see what I'm saying? And I've kind of been doing a modification of this in a sense. Like sometimes on my volume days, I'll do like a 2 to, well, what you just said, 2 to 5 rep max, just to introduce the workout instead of doing double max effort. So that's how you would blend it like that. So it is smart, but would I tell you to exclusively do the 2 to 5 rep max? No, I think you should do some heavy singles. You're going to get much better gains on a conjugate system. But yeah, overall, I love your setup you have here. Like, I would probably write a program in this kind of way, man. Like, it's pretty damn smart. Looking massive, Alpha. I appreciate that, bro. This bulk is going well. Putting all kinds of fat on, and even muscle, I would say. Yeah. Yo, we're getting a lot of super chats. Holy moly. Bear with me, guys. Okay, hold up. I gotta copy. See, I figured this out. You gotta copy paste all the questions, or else it's game over. All right, let's cool it though. You know, let's cool it with that. So this guy asks, how does my camera quality look so good for being a live stream? The answer is, it's not a webcam. I got a adapter that I plug into my DSLR, and you're seeing it direct. Now the ISO could be a little bit better, so maybe if I see I'm at 200 ISO, I can bring it to maybe 300 ISO. Let's see what that looks like. So you see it's a bit brighter? Does that look better? That's why it looks good. So I highly recommend you just like you stay away from those webcams, because most of them they get out of focus a lot and they just don't look clean, you know? You want your stuff to look like your videos. Looks better, bro. Perfect. Thank you, man. Yo, Alpha, why no beard no more? In my opinion, your bald style with full beard was looking badass. Yeah, I love that look. I'm going to go back to it at some point, but, you know, summertime rolling around, it gets hot. Your beard gets, like, all curly and sweaty, and it's annoying sometimes. Like, I like rocking a shorter beard in the summertime. And now I kind of got a little bit of a stubble going on. Probably in a week or two, it's going to be back again. But I wanted to rock like a clean shaven look. Plus, I want to see like how lean my face was at 183. Oh, and by the way, in the last week, I lost a pound and a half. Reason why I wasn't posting, just to say. And it's not due to global events, by the way. I already went through that shit last year, and that was fine. This is something else, you know? But yeah, anyway, why are you training in a gym, not home? I am training at home. I usually go to the gym when I want to change the viewing experience for you guys. I prefer working out with my setup. I got way better bars. My weights are on point, even though they're cap. You know? It's stuff that I am familiar with. It's better, higher quality. My power rack is more customizable. I can get the perfect angles. My benches are way better. I got the adjustable bench from Bells of Steel, my Thompson Fat Pad. Just everything's higher quality, so I prefer to train at home. And in general, you save a lot of time. You can blast your music instead of wearing earbuds. Work out at any time. You don't have to worry about the gym's closing, driving there late, rushing, or having people like wait for you to finish your set, because if you leave your station, some guy's going to take it. So if I'm resting 3 minutes on a dumbbell bench, I leave, the guy's going to say, oh, he's done, because most people rest a minute or two between sets. So you're on the bench just waiting, At home, I can freaking multitask, bro. I can be editing a video while training at the same time. And I often do this, by the way. So it's just more efficient for my lifestyle, and I got the stuff, so why not? But definitely love some gym training here and there. Home gym video? Yeah, you can get a 2.0 in a bit. Okay. Gonna answer these super chats, alright? T'es taillé comme une armoire, frérot. Merci, mon gars. Ça fait beaucoup de temps que je m'entraîne. Ça arrête jamais. On continue. Continue à tous les jours. Alex, can you speak Greek? No. Can't do that, bro. Alright, combining running and weight training for armed forces. Currently active duty and doing twice a week track workouts. So the thing that I would tell you to do is run the Conjugate system, hands down. This is the best way of managing your system. Bien le français, merci à vous. J'habite à Montréal, Québec, donc il faut parler français ici, sinon ça marche pas. Donc, si tu veux que je réponde tout en français pour une question, demande-moi, bro. Je vais faire complètement. Si c'est 1 minute ou 3, je vais faire ça pour toi. Okay, back to the question. Currently active duty and doing twice a week track workouts. So, bro, I think you probably need more than twice a week track workouts. At least in the Army, that's what's pretty common. And my friend is in there. It's more than that, So I would up your frequency to maybe every other day. So 4 times a week. Possibly more. And then for the weight training aspect, the best system would be an upper-lower conjugate program, right? Where you're really training all the elements simultaneously. But because you're going to be doing your active duty and all this cardio stuff, I would actually recommend a full body conjugate system. So something like naturally enhanced. And this is not me just trying to plug my system, but I'm being honest with you. If you do a full body twice a week, it's going to give you a lot of extra recovery, quote unquote, in the sense that on those other days, you can focus on the stuff that's going to help your Army workouts the most. And that probably has to take priority over the weights, to be honest. Like my buddy does a lot of Iron Wolf workouts. That's his go-to. He probably does that at least 5 days a week. And then the lifting, I don't think he does it more than twice a week. Yeah. It's mostly Iron Wolf with a little bit of weights on the side. But the thing is, he's not running Conjugate. You can, and maintain all your performance elements. Get really freaking strong, get all your volume in, and then maximize the endurance workouts. So I think the full body twice a week is exactly what you need, and you got to up those endurance workouts a bit. And 100% check out Iron Wolf on YouTube. You got to do those workouts. It's going to really whoop you and build that mental toughness. Cardiovascular punishment is what they call it. Saw a question right here. Take off your shirt. I'm not going to do that for a live stream. Running out of questions because you don't read them and I don't want to repeat. Yo, Wefy. I told you I'm but too expensive. What's your question, bro? Oh, I already answered that. That's why. When you get back to the replay, you'll see. Your hair's looking better. Thank you, man. Just growing it out. It's been like 6 months now. Actually, no, 5. What do you do for lateral delts? How do you feel about doing 3 sets of lightweight lateral raises every day outside of normal workouts? You got that from Eric Bugenhagen, eh? The 100 rep lateral raises with like 5-10 pounds, yeah, you're basically talking about nucleus overload. I think it could have some merit. It might work, it might not. But what I would say is that if side delts are a big priority for you, you don't want to be lazy like your boy. Like for me personally, I don't really do a lot of side delt work. I would have to attribute my development to band face pulls and rows. In fact, I never realized this until I started studying biomechanics, but the way that I've been rowing all these years has been rear delt bias. What I mean is the arm path has been this, you know? So basically, when your arms are flared out to the sides here, you're going to really work on the traps and rhomboids. Where they're in this angle, it's going to be mostly rear delt. Of course, you're still hitting all the upper back musculature, but the rear delts take on a huge blunt of the load. I've always done my rows like this for years and years and years. And then when you have it tucked in by your side, that's going to be more lat biased. So the fact that I have all this experience here, well, look at my freaking delts, bro. You know? Like, they're pretty good. So I feel like that is what gave me that rounded look. You know? Obviously, I'm fluffier now. You can't quite see the separation as much. But if I show you, I'm going to show you this real cool pic I took during my cut. This one really shows what I'm talking about. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. It's a nice side chest. Actually, I got to get shredded again, man. It's going to be even better this time around. Okay, where is it? I have so many pictures here. Okay, I got this one. This one's insane. All right. Here you go. Check this out, bro. I wasn't even in my peak state here. But you see how those delts are all capped? You know? Looking like that. Yep. That's a raw photo. You know? No crazy pump, no crazy lighting. This is just a regular look. But you can see the development is on point. So yeah, rows will definitely build your delts. And of course you got to be lean, you know. But regarding exercise, I did talk about that earlier in this live stream. Actually, there's another one I got to show you guys. Okay, you want to see a crazier one? Here, look at this one. Look at that. And if I look, oh, sorry, that's a little something. Haha, you caught me. Look at that. Boom, boom. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's all good. All right. Back to these questions. Bro, you were shredded. Yeah, man. It was a crazy look, but super hard to maintain. You can't do that year round. Trust. Stop playing. Actually, I did quit. I did quit, bro. Like, I think I stopped like 3 months ago. Photoshop on your pics? No Photoshop, bro. Those are raw, like I said. My shit is always raw, and they come straight from videos. So if anyone ever accuses me, I got the vids. So too bad for them. All right. My God, we got a lot of freaking questions here. Having a good time with you guys. We're vibing it out. The questions are phenomenal. This is going to be one hell of a Q&A, especially when I got to timestamp it. You know, just more raw up in here. All right. Let's do this. I love your videos, bro. I really look up to you as a lifter. You're so educated, so smart. I've learned a lot from you more than anyone else. Keep it up, bro. Well, thank you, man. I'm really honored to hear that. And I'm happy that you're learning, because that's what I try to do over here. My content is educational. It's not entertainment based. It's got to be that you can go on your own and do well. That you don't necessarily need me in the future. That you're going to watch my videos. It's express knowledge. You're going to be right. and you have a nice body for the rest of your life with the information that not only serves you, but others that you choose to be around with, whether that be your significant other or family or whatever. Like, we're all trying to get smart over here. That's the objective, and I'm going to keep focusing on that. It's never going to be a drama, stupidity channel where I'm just like chasing clout. Like, I'm not interested, bro. I'm interested in changing lives. But if you guys do want me to cover some new stuff, like I could, it's not going to be the go-to. You know what I'm saying? Why do you hate the Smith machine so much? You know, I personally don't like it. But if I leave my biases aside, there could be some valid applications. Caught slipping, absolutely. Like, the Smith machine gives you extra stability. And on some movements, like let's say a seated overhead press, might be good. The hack squat, so you don't have to squat 100% vertical. Put your legs out in front of you, and now you're mimicking that machine without having to do it. And some guys prefer that on their knees. Certain movements like that, bro. Like, it's not this black and white thing. But overall, I would say barbells are better. They feel more natural on the joints. Like, if you're going to do a bilateral press using that type of shape, you might as well just do a bar. Like, I'd rather you do like a hammer strength machine over a Smith machine. Machine twice, I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to work your upper chest, instead of doing an incline Smith bench, do a converging incline press. That's going to be way better, because a lot of guys complain that when you're doing a bilateral press where you're fixed, you're not properly adducting the humerus. You don't get that maximum squeeze in. So if you're going to critique the flat bench for doing that, but then you're over here doing Smith machine bench, then you're a freaking hypocrite. Because there's no difference on that scale. The only difference is a little bit more stability. But the bench was already stable enough. So that's where I'm a bit like, you know, if it's between a barbell and a Smith machine, choose the freaking barbell. But if it's just an absolute sense, then okay, yeah, there's certainly some merit. You know what I'm saying? All right. Are doing, yeah, it was. But I stopped playing it, bro. I stopped. I got my 99 strength and it was done. That game is not good for your brain, bro. Trust. Okay. Are doing RDLs and high rack pulls optimal for hypertrophy? The RDL, 100%. Yeah, we always go back. Damn freaking right. It's hard. It's freaking, like, people who've been in it, you know what's up. Back to the question. The RDL should be your default deadlift. I see a lot of debates online about conventional or sumo. And then I'll see these guys bringing those lifts into a discussion of hypertrophy. My response is, how about neither? The RDL is infinitely superior for hypertrophy. You're training the eccentric. You get a stretch reflex. You're working in your active range of motion, not some arbitrary bullshit dictated by the circumference of the plates. You stop when you get that stretch initiation. That's it. It's perfectly calibrated for every motherfucker on this earth. That's why you should do it. And more TUT, if you care about that. More out of less weight. It's a true hip hinge. Look at the squat hinge continuum. What's on the far left? There's 3 movements. RDL, stiff-legged deadlift, and good morning. It's not conventional. It's not sumo. So you want to get big? RDL is your number 1. Hands down. And moving forward, well, first of all, I barely do pulls off the floor to begin with anymore. But I will eventually hit that point where it's going to be exclusively RDLs. I already know it. But I'm not there yet. Because I'm still focusing on certain strength goals right now. you know? And I think that the low handle trap bar dead or even high handle dead stop is still really good on your recovery. Even though there's more axial loading, the fact that there's less lower back makes it worth it. And you get that weighted stretch overload on the traps. Regarding the high rack pulls, I would say that's not optimal for hypertrophy, with the exception of the upper traps. You're getting a weighted stretch effect. But for that, honestly, you should probably just do a normal block pull. Conventional, between 2 to 5 inches above the ground, but probably should cap it at 4. Or you could do high handle trap bar deadlifts or deadlifts with accommodating resistance, which are also easier on your lower back. So now you can train the muscles of the hip hinge, actually get a full range of motion with carryover at the same time. And when you're at the top, you're going to be holding that heavier weight that stretches out your traps into explosive gains. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily recommend the rack pull above the knee, considering the alternatives have more net benefits. But does it work? Yes, it does. And my older videos give you some pretty good proof about that. Zercher squats and good morning. See, I'm gonna answer. Okay, I'll answer it now. Yo, we're gonna have to cool it with these super chats, guys. I'm getting too many. I appreciate you. Much love. But we gotta. There's a lot. I have really a lot here. Zercher squats and good mornings, a good idea. The Zercher squat, maybe, maybe not. The thing is, there's better ways to squat. And I'm kind of starting to change my stance on certain things. In the past, I used to heavily promote the front squat and the Zercher squat. Those were my main variations. Nowadays, it's going to be quad bias squats and SSB squats of all kinds. So for quad bias, I'm going to wear squat shoes or be on squat wedges in a high bar positioning, not low bar. I feel like that is a better developer for your legs, straight up. And then the SSB, you do it with the camber facing down and up. When it's up, it's essentially a front squat. Like, it's very similar in terms of loading and the effect that you get on the upper back and quadriceps. And there's very little technique required. So if you want to get really strong, like, you're going to get all the benefits of Zerchers and front squats, but without going into those positions. And with the Zercher, a lot of guys, and Bald Omni-Man kind of pointed this out, they don't do a squat. It becomes some weird squat good morning variation. And I know this to be true because years ago, it was 2017, I wasn't even squatting, bro. And I did 435 on the Zercher squat, starting from the bottom on top of that. So I lifted it up from the ground, I put it on my knees, and I did it. But my legs were way weaker back then compared to now. But I got 435 without even doing squats. How was that possible? Well, because I was doing a lot of deadlifts. And you see some guys that can Zercher somewhere in the 500s, but their squat is in the 400s. You know, it could be a little bit misleading as a strength test, is what I'm saying. So that aspect is a little bit overrated for strength and hypertrophy, but still a good movement in its own right. You know, like, it does work upper back and builds that toughness. You know, I know Kiriako's Grizzlies big on those. And then the good mornings, well, obviously, there's not much to say about that. Those are goated, bro. So keep doing them. Thoughts on the overhead rack pull curl / dildos? I don't know, bro. You're going to have to start experimenting with those and see what happens to your lower body, because I don't think that's a good trap exercise. Unless you're talking about the other kind. How do you avoid friction burns from ring dips? The way you set up the straps is very important, as well as using the false grip and the right diameter rings. So I don't know if it's the other way around, but I think if you use thicker rings, you're going to get less friction on the straps because you have that extra protection that's protruding in a sense. So if I forget what the centimeters are, but there's 2 kinds of rings. Get the bigger ones, right? And then the straps, don't have them too close to you. You're going to want them a little bit outside whatever position you're trying to assume. So if you're doing neutral grip ring dips, this arm motion right here, set the straps up here, not literally even. This will do 2 things. One, you're going to get more of a converging effect at the bottom because now you're coming out, and then when you come in, there's actually this much resistance to overcome. So you're going to get an enhanced contraction on your pecs while at the same time minimizing that friction burn. It's not just you tightly locked in like this, getting all that strap action. So for hypertrophy, might be a little bit harder though, you're good. How big are those guns, bro? I think they're 16.5 inches right now. When I measured them in a slightly pumped state, they were 17, which I've shown you already in other videos. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that because I'm 181.5 again because I lost a little bit of weight this week. But let's just say 182, 183 with 16.5 inch arms, 5'5", 5.5. I think it's a pretty good measurement. And I want to get those 17s. I believe I could do it. I'm never going to give up on this goal. I don't give a fuck how long it takes. It's going to happen. If it takes me 5 years to do it, I don't care. I'm going for it. We are going to get those 17s without the pump is what I'm saying. I want it cold flex. That's the goal. But certainly they're coming along. You know? Forearms seem to be okay. Those just respond well. Biceps, I'm doing those incline curls. I'm working on the shorten and lengthen position. Check out this muscle, bro. My neck improved a lot. I'm getting all that yoke action again. Remember this? That's been a long time. So it feels good not to be lazy, guys. It feels real good. All right. Yeah, looking massive, bro. What's your weight now? 181.5, but I was 183 last week. All right, back to these questions. So many good ones. I can't even stop. I won't stop. Yo, Alex, I'm a beginner personal trainer from Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, Montreal. I'm trying to start training people on the side for experience. Should I rent a studio, rent a storage shed, or something else? How should I start? Okay, so what my friend did, and he was very successful with this, especially during global events, was he bought a home gym for about $2,000 and brought his clients directly to his place. This way you don't have to pay for rent. It's one time by itself, and most people do this part-time as well, especially if you're a beginner personal trainer. You're not going to have a tremendous amount of clients to begin with. So you can get those serious guys directly at your place, and you're not going to have to worry about other people being around you. It's going to be more personalized, and it's very profitable in this way. Yo, what's up? We got Greg Doucette up in here. Hey, welcome aboard. I appreciate you stopping by, Greg. Yeah, back to the question. And he mentioned, sorry, I got a comment because Greg is here, right? So you said Revival Fitness. I don't know what you guys are talking about there. But, oh, he's a fake. Main game, bro. Okay. Well, look, I can still address the Revival. You know what? I'm going to talk about him after, okay? You got to remind me, though. So going back to your question, dude, train people in person at your place with a home gym is what I recommend. You might think, oh, it's a lot of money, $2,000 or whatever. You can start with a budget home gym because it's going to pay itself in a short amount of time, is what I'm saying. So I wouldn't rent a studio or anything like that, in my opinion. That's what you do in real life. Then you're going to want to do personal training online. That's where you're probably going to have even more clients because now you're not going to be restricted to Montreal, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. You have the whole world available. You know, so get on Instagram, start posting your stuff, start marketing, maybe start a YouTube channel. But definitely online, you're going to get more clients. You might have like, I know guys that have 50 to 80 clients online, but they would never be able to do that in person because it's just not feasible. You got to book all these appointments, and unless you're working in a commercial gym, it ain't going to happen. So a little bit in person in your private home gym, plus some online, get that extra income. That's my recommendation, bro. And like I said, everything's going to pay itself eventually. It's not going to take too long. All right. Are you white? You look Middle Eastern. So I'm 50-50 Italian and Greek. And I showed you guys a ancestry breakdown in the previous Q&A. So you can check that out. It's timestamped. God damn, this community is really awesome. Really, really good questions. I know, right? I think this might be the best Q&A we've had yet. I think it was a little bit slower in the first 20 minutes or so. But the moment we got past that, because I got to warm up too, right? We've been killing it. This is real good. So, okay. Hi, Alex. What academic qualifications do you have? Also, do you still do customized programming? Need a customized program? So, in the fitness world, that's not what I'm formally qualified to do. I'm pretty much self-taught. I've been in this game for a long time. I started watching YouTube Fitness probably in 2009, but I think it was a little bit before that. I just wasn't doing anything. I was just watching the vids, but not acting. But 2009, I recall vividly, is when I started like actually, going crazy with this stuff. So it's been a big part of my life, and I've read hundreds of books, watched thousands and thousands of videos, and put in well over 10,000 hours into this business and lifestyle. I live and breathe this. I love bodybuilding. I love strength training. Like, I want to be like this for the rest of my life. Always be buff, always be about fitness. To me, it's so important. So that's what you're getting. You're getting someone who is very passionate about this and who actually tries to learn on a year-to-year basis. I've experimented with a lot of stuff. I have really good numbers. I got a good physique. That's what I got to say about that. And the other question was, what? I don't have it. Unless it's this. Have you made good money on YouTube? Yeah, YouTube money has improved quite a bit. So when I was, actually many years ago, YouTube was pretty garbage. It was basically minimum, well, actually it was less than minimum wage. Then it became minimum wage. And it was like that for a long time. My CP, whatever the hell it's called, was low. I wasn't getting paid much for my videos compared to my peers. They were making like 3 to 5 times the amount of money that I was. So when people would look at my Social Blade analytics, they thought that I was in the upper range, but actually it was the complete opposite. I was at the absolute bottom tier. And I remember some people would slander me about that, saying, oh yeah, you're just some spoiled rich guy off YouTube. Far from it. I had humble beginnings, bro. And I didn't make much off this, but I still kept at it, I made more money off book sales back in the day, including when I had the Alpha Body, and that was like a $20 program. So you put that in perspective on how much I was making. It wasn't much. It was really like between 2016 and 2017 where things started to pick up. But even then, YouTube wasn't great. I would say in the last 3 years, it's been pretty good. It's a good income just straight off videos, monetization. I can't complain about that. And especially since global events happened, that's when I've noticed the biggest rise, to be honest with you. Like my channel, I make more money on a per video. It was never like that back in the day. And I think what made a real big difference was cutting out the swearing. Now, in this Q&A, I did do a great deal of swearing because it's raw and I'm not editing on the spot, but when I got rid of the swearing, YouTube actually introduced a new monetization program guideline thingy where you had to rate your videos. And I'll rate my videos as non-profanity. And ever since then, I've seen a steady rise in income. So YouTube's going to punish you for being a little bit too real, is what I'm gonna say. You can't swear every 2 seconds. You know, like if you're going snake diet mode, fuck here, fuck that, like you're gonna get paid less. And the thing is, because I'm older, I'm a bit more mature, I don't really talk like that anymore to begin with, so it kind of works out. It's not like I gotta force it, but sometimes if I am gonna swear, I just censor it out and that's it. But that's one of my biggest pro tips for you guys. Avoid being too vulgar. You're gonna turn off a lot of people, and you'll be punished for it. But yeah, that's what I would say about income. Just a little insight. Oh yeah, your other question. You need a customized program. Do I still do it? Thing is, it's not really worth my time because I'm so busy with other stuff that I gotta do. You know, making these videos and doing other lines of work in this industry. You know, I'm writing a really important program on calisthenics. Like, I'm very busy. I don't even have time to game right now. So, you know, lifestyle stuff as well. If I take on a few clients, like, it's not going to be a crazy amount, you know. I'd rather not, even if it's going to net me more money. So, my availabilities are not high on that one. No question, just supporting you since your vids have helped me a lot. Well, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that, man. I'm happy that my videos have helped you out. At the end of the day, that's what I'm here to do. And welcome to the live stream. Gonna be here for a little bit longer. We're getting closer to that 2-hour mark, guys. All right. How to grow traps with a bad knee, torn meniscus. I can't bear excessive weight while standing and shrugging. Orthopedic doctor discourages this. So it's simple, dude. You're gonna do chest supported shrugs. So lean on an incline bench with the cables being directly in front of you, like this, and just pull your shoulder blades back. That's it. Retract is gonna work your upper traps. Actually, when you do standing shrugs, it's mid traps, not upper traps, contrary to what a lot of us have been led to believe, which is a shocking realization. But it turns out that when people did those EMG studies, they were putting it on the wrong section of the spine. You know, I think they were putting it on C6 instead of C7. So what they were measuring as upper traps was below that. So you want to be in kind of the horizontal plane, doing your shrugs that way. And of course, all the rows that you do, which don't involve your legs at all, is going to work your traps as well. Not to mention the wide grip pull-ups that you've been seeing me do. Those are really going to add on to your physique. So, yeah, you don't need to necessarily. Well, actually, even you look at handicap bodybuilders. They sit down and do their shrugs like that with usually a cambered bar or heavy enough dumbbells. So that's another option for you. Some of them even do deadlifts with like 800 pounds like that. Their legs don't even work, bro. So if they're able to do that, certainly you can do well without your meniscus being on point. So I got Amit Singh. Yeah, dude, I got a lot of, because the thing is, I'm going through all these right here. It's one at a time, bro. Calisthenics program update. Like I said, my man, don't have any right now. It's in the works. But the only thing I will say is that I am going to do another cut probably this year. And once I'm looking real lean again, that's when the photos are going to be taken for the exercise selection section. And then everything's going to be pieced together. But I'm going to say probably towards the later part of this year is more realistic, you know. Earliest would be late summer. Oh, I've got some more. Based off this. My God, we got so many questions. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. My God. Okay. What is the biggest piece of advice to keep the joints and muscles from getting a massive differential? My biceps have a tendency to blow up easily, but then the joints cause it to become unusable. So the first thing I would point out is that if you stay natural, this is far less of a concern because the tendons and muscles will grow at a very similar rate. There's not going to be this disproportional situation where the risk is increased, where you can get snapped up at any moment, you know? That's usually what we see with the steroid users. Now, if your bicep tendon is still being problematic, then it could be a lot of things. Overuse, too many exercises, bad programming in general, or maybe as simple as using the wrong movements for your structure. So it's possible that the normal barbell curl does not agree with your build. If you guys want a really good test, just have your arms in a relaxed position like this, all right? And pay attention to where your palms are facing, right? And curl, but without doing anything to your wrist. So curl, and you see the direction of your forearm? That's where the resistance should be coming from. So in my case, I'm not built like this. I'm a pretty wide dude, right? So if I'm curling, I want it to be here. So I'm going to curl with the cables coming that way, here. That is what will be lined up for my build. Or I'm going to grab an easy bar that also does that, right? That's usually what we find when guys get pain. They're just not in the correct, angle. Alternatively, you can kind of hijack this by placing the arms further out in front of your body, because now this is no longer going to be an issue. So if I told you got to curl like that, well, if you flex your shoulders way out in front, you're here, well, now you can be really close and locked in. So how do you get away with that? Well, you got to wear something like an arm blaster or be on a preacher bench or an incline bench, something like that. But you got to have the arms out in front of you if you're going to use restrictive implements that don't agree with your build. And besides that, I would tell you to do a lot of band work for your biceps, man. Start doing band curls on a frequent basis. Do reps of like 50 to 100. 4 sets of 25. 3 sets of 33. Get those overspeed eccentrics and blood flow in there, man. Sometimes it's not just what you do during your workouts. It's what comes after. Active recovery is what we call it. Stuff like that is going to help you out a lot. But I think the major issue is you're doing the wrong movements, man, for your build. Thomas, tu penses quoi des séries de 20 plus reps pour la masse? Je pense que ça marche parfaitement, mais c'est rien de spécial parce que ce qui est important est la proximité de failure. I don't know how to say failure in French. Si tu fais un set de 10 répétitions, par la 8e répétition, il y a 2 répétitions en réservoir. Donc, ça serait bon pour la musculation. Mais si tu fais seulement 5 répétitions, il y a plusieurs reps que tu peux faire. Donc, ça, c'est pas... Échec, ok. C'est pas la même chose. Il faut être de 3 répétitions. C'est ça, It's gotta be close to that range, bro. I fucking suck at explaining this shit in French. I just realized this, bro. Mais la proximité, c'est qui est important. Donc, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui parlent des reps de 15 ou 20 ou 30 ou n'importe quoi. C'est quoi les meilleurs sets and reps? C'est pas important. Et il y a quelques personnes qui disent que la fatigue, c'est plus quand tu fais les répétitions qui sont hautes. Donc, c'est probablement meilleur d'être dans une zone qui est plus, qui est moins léger. Donc, 6 à 12 est meilleur pour la majorité des personnes. J'espère que ça, c'était informative. And for guys who don't know what I just said, first of all, I just realized I suck at explaining it because I don't know any of these terms in French. But basically, your proximity to failure is what matters. If you're doing a set of 20, you got to get to failure or super close to it, at least within 1 to 3 reps in reserve. Whereas if you're doing a set of 6 to 8, well, by the time you get to rep 6, you're already getting all those effective reps in. So it's like it's more efficient and you get less fatigue by doing that. Even though you're using a heavier weight, the fact is a lot of rep work where you got that maximum pump is, that leads to form degradation and more fatigue accumulation. So in a sense, you're actually better using a lower to moderate rep range compared to super higher reps. All right. My super chat question drowned. Well, I copy pasted them all over here, so I'm probably gonna get to it in a bit. If I don't, then just repost it, bro. You know, I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Fudge. That's why, guys, like, I appreciate it, but let's stop with these super chats now. I want to get back to being back and forth, okay? All right. Hey, can you make a video or explain what level of lifting a person is at like novice, intermediate, but based on Dragon Ball Z? What saga is a person based on numbers or experience, etc.? Well, if you're a novice lifter, you're not even in Dragon Ball Z. You're just straight up Dragon Ball. Intermediate, I wouldn't even call it the Saiyan saga because you're nowhere near your potential at that point. Like, we haven't even seen Super Saiyan. Well, maybe Kaioken, you can argue, is intermediate on Goku's end, you know, and Vegeta, certainly, you know, that infamous battle. But I would say you're more of a late novice in that phase. The Frieza saga, I would still say you're intermediate. Maybe late intermediate. Maybe Goku is the only one who can be considered advanced since he's the only Super Saiyan in there. Obviously, Piccolo has excellent transformation with Nail right there. That was nice to see. You can argue that Gohan was a genetic freak that could have been advanced right off the bat, but he wasn't. So maybe everybody was technically advanced in the Frieza saga, but I wouldn't really push it that hard. I would say the Cell saga is where everybody was advanced for the most part. With the exception of Yamcha. He got pretty much wrecked by Android 19, which I very much enjoyed seeing, by the way. And the Majin Buu saga, I would say everybody's elite over there. But not everyone. Mr. Gohan, for sure. Vegito, you know, which is a combination of Goku and Vegeta. Yeah, all the main guys, pretty much. Everyone else at that point becomes a side character where they're not really doing much, you know? Like, even when Piccolo was stalling Majin Buu with the time thing, that's all they're doing. It's like they're buying time for others. They're just there. They're being like they're a part of it, but they're not actively assisting, with the exception of the Spirit Bomb at the very end. But yeah, bro, those would be my Goten and Trunks are novice. I would give them intermediate. If you're Super Saiyan 1, you're at least intermediate, right? Super Saiyan 2 is advanced. Super Saiyan 3 would be elite. Then if we talk about GT, we're in a different zone, and let's not even get the Super, bro. But yeah, we're kind of nerding it out right here, but I think those would be some good comparisons, bro. I don't think I'm going to make a video on that because it's very niche what you're talking about. Maybe natural hypertrophy would, but I don't think I would. Pretty cool topic, though, and thank you for that super chat. Alex, do you believe anyone can get jacked if they stay consistent and have patience? My work ethic is incredible, but I've always been pretty impatient. Well, I think anyone can get way more jacked than what they are right now. And even someone with below average genetics can still put on 10, 20 pounds of muscle, probably. Whatever those muscle gaining charts indicate, let's say you're on the bottom end of that and you manage to fulfill it, it's still going to be something impressive. So if you're like 180 pounds and you bulk up to 200 over many freaking years, even if some guy who did it in half the time as you or has way better genetics, even if that guy is legit, it doesn't matter because you're being the best version of you. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. And what I can tell you is that work ethic is very important. It's what's going to separate the long-term guys from the fakers. Those who jump on PEDs early on or who claim to love fitness, who claim to be about this lifestyle, but they're nowhere to be found when you look around. How come everybody left YouTube fitness? Where are all these fucking dudes? I'll tell you what, they're skinny fat, they ain't ripped anymore, they're not strong. They were in this for the money. They weren't trying to influence anybody. They certainly couldn't influence themselves. So if you got the consistency, you're going to be in this for life. You're going to be consistent for life. You got the willpower, prove it, man. You're going to live for 10, 20 years. You tell me how your physique's going to look, especially if you follow some of the best guys in this industry. Follow myself, Natural Hypertrophy, Bald Omni-Man, Jeffrey Verity Schofield, Renaissance Periodization. A lot more I could list, but you follow dudes that are about real content, you're going to get far. I don't care what your genetics are. So the fact that you have the work ethic on point, that's already a great step because most guys don't have that. In fact, the lack of consistency is what's going to ruin them in the long term. So I think you can get jacked as fuck, my man. And keep grinding. Sean G always says it never stops. Alec Curry, of course, man, him too. Look at the guys I interviewed. They're good resources. Let's see. Please answer. How to avoid overuse injuries when I want to learn push-ups, pull-ups, bodyweight squats, but I can't do one single rep of each. Is exercise variety necessary? So I guess it kind of is necessary in this situation because you can't even do the classical movements. So by definition, you're going to have to use regressions that are varieties. And the thing is, these varieties will change as you acquire more experience. See what I'm saying? Unless you build your general strength through other means that are so non-specific that you're automatically able to do these movements. So I don't think, like if you take anyone who's done natural bodybuilding, even if they never did any of those movements, they'll be able from day one because they put on muscle in other ways. And you can't really separate the size and strength after a certain point, even if you don't do that whatsoever. Now you're saying you can't do one push-up, one pull-up, and one bodyweight squat. I kind of doubt the squat part. I'm not going to lie. You can't do one squat. I don't believe that. Do it right now, bro. Yes, you can. Come on. The push-up and pull-up, possibly, maybe you're extremely obese and you've never touched a weight or anything in your entire life. Maybe this is the first live stream you came across. And you just want to give me some support and want me to help you out. But only someone who's like the most beginner of beginners. Like you'd have to be either 12 years old or over 300 pounds would fit into that criteria if you ask me. That's just a generalized perspective is what I'm saying. Some people are out of shape, absolutely. But we're talking about one rep here, right? So I would tell you to maybe get the book Conjugate Conditioning and run those basic variations. So you can't do a push-up off the floor. Hey, maybe if you're super obese, you're going to have to do a push-up off the wall like this. But chances are you can likely do it. Maybe you're going to have to do push-up off the knees or push-up negatives. You know? For the pull-ups, that's a bit more nuanced. Usually it's because guys are too heavy. So you probably just got to cut for that one and just raise your performance on lat pull-downs, man. I've remained at 255, but my waist's getting shorter. Is this an indication of muscle gain? Oh, you're not the same guy. Sorry, I thought you were... well, I can answer that too, but I want to finish with this one. Basically, dude, let me just copy-paste it. Yeah, dude, I think you just got to put on a little bit of muscle in some specific areas, run some basic regressions that you'll find in Conjugate Conditioning or anything that's on YouTube, you know, how to get your first push-up, how to get your first pull-up, watch those segments, and most importantly, lose weight. I think you're probably too fat. That's why you can't do it. but you don't need anything special. I can tell you that much. Not for those movements. We're not talking about building a planche or getting a front lever. This is very different stuff. All right. So this guy right here, I remain at 255, but my waist is getting shorter. Is this an indication of muscle gain? Yes, it is. You're recomping, bro. That's the only possibility. Unless you're just someone who doesn't store a lot of fat in your waist. Maybe it's starting to go in other areas. And it's possible that if you would put on 5 pounds of fat, that would then increase your waist measurement. Or maybe it's already so big that you're not going to necessarily see a massive difference if you put on another half inch, because it kind of looks the same regardless, right? Your body fat is just up there. So what I'll tell you, so you got to be prepared, get 2 on deck, is to not worry about it, bro, because you seem to be doing fine. You're recomping at a heavier weight. Like you're in a good position right now. You know, if you were telling me that your waist was getting shorter and that your muscles were getting smaller, but you were staying at 255, then that would actually be the opposite situation. You'd be losing muscle in that case, but you're indicating this right here. So yeah, you're good, man. You're good. Fudge. Starting to reach my limit here, guys. Already, it's been hard for me to talk in this last week. But I'm doing good. I'm 15. Is a 260 deadlift at 115 body weight good. Also 5'3". It is good. First of all, you're only 115 pounds. That's a very light weight. Even at 5'3", that's probably, for your age, never lifted, you're probably shredded or close to it. Like, that's what I would about expect. Like, when I started training, like, for real, I think I was 5'4" at the time. I was still a teenager, and I was 120. So that's where I was at. So a little bit bigger than you. But I didn't have a 260 deadlift. Certainly not. I probably had a 135 deadlift. I was only doing calisthenics at the time. So the fact that you're above that, well, you're certainly above where I was at the time. In general, I don't think anybody's going to complain that you can do damn near 2.5 plates at 115, not to mention 15 years old, probably little training experience. Like, this is good stuff. Wouldn't be surprised that you have good leverages. Maybe your height is short, but you got a long wingspan for your build. Maybe you're going to be one of those pound for pound guys that by the time you're 16 years old, you're going to weigh like 140 and you're going to have a 400 something deadlift. Wouldn't say that's unrealistic. So at the end of the day, man, you won't know until you give it some time. You just got started with this game, but hey, it's a good sign. I'll tell you that much, at least for strength. Okay. I struggle to lose weight and get lean because I naturally have a very large appetite and I just end up overeating and binging later. Is there any way to naturally curb your hunger? So the thing is, dude, what you want is moderate caloric restriction in an environment of micronutrient excellence. That is a term coined by Dr. Furman. Essentially, you want foods that when you plug them into Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, the micros are through the freaking roof, like close to your RDAs for even small portions, but the calories are F all. So basically, you can just eat all kinds of food and you'll hit those desired macros and be full. And what that's going to come down to, in most cases, is increasing your whole plant food intake. Like, nobody's getting fat from eating those kinds of foods for the most part. So what I would tell you to do is go on YouTube and look up whole food plant-based diet and look into what those guys are recommending. There's a reason why, on average, plant-based dieters have lower BMIs. And they sustain it for longer periods of time. The diet itself kind of forces you to be that way because you're eating the same as you would with more animal products, but because there's all these micros, you're just as full, but you're in a deficit, you have less calories. When you minimize your saturated fat intake in particular, that makes a big difference. Now you could say you can get leaner cuts of meats. Of course, that would be beneficial. But still, it doesn't compare to having something like lentils. You have a meal with lentils and potatoes with dark leafy greens on the side, you're going to be full from that, man. And it's going to be low fat, full of micros. It's very hard to get fat following that diet. Almost impossible, man. Even if you have a big appetite. And you're going to get fed up of eating a lot of beans to begin with, you know? And what I could tell you is that potatoes in particular are really filling to the point where it can even beat meat in many cases. And I think that's something that Dr. Lane Norton talked about. In terms of satiation, potatoes are real up there. And the thing is, you don't want to season it with like garlic sauce or all this olive oil. You don't necessarily have to do that. But just introduce these whole foods into your diet that have weight to them. And it should be easier to lose weight. Just do not eat beans before training. No, you can eat beans before training. I do that many times. It's just you gotta adjust your microbiome. And what I'll tell you is that if you're struggling to have all these beans right now, start with a very small amount, like a tablespoon a day, and slowly microload your way up. Ideally, you should be having a minimum a can of beans a day in terms of quantities. That's like a really good amount for guys who are into bodybuilding. Just as a starter, you know, that's how you build your microbiome, you know. Probably have a lot more than that, ideally. Lentils plus a can of beans a day. And I'm talking about the portion here, not necessarily eating out of a can. I agree, potatoes, they fill me like no other, absolutely. Meat, eggs, and fish diet, you can't beat this in terms of fullness and being ripped easily. I don't agree with that. I think meat can make it difficult if you're having a tremendous amount of red meat specifically. The leaner cuts can be better for sure. Like extra lean veal, turkey, chicken. Fish, you're going to have to get the low-fat fish for the most part. Like tilapia, you're not going to get fat having tilapia. Let's keep it real. Eggs, yes, but more specifically, egg whites is what I'd recommend if you're going to include them at all. And if you want to get shredded, guys, this sounds psychotic, but I'm just going to say it, bro. Do microwaved egg whites. It's pretty nasty. You're not going to enjoy it that much. But if you have like 200 grams of microwaved egg whites, you're good. Like you are. Okay. So this guy said address revival fitness. As far as I'm concerned, he hasn't made any videos about me. But I think you're talking about what we were discussing earlier on in this live stream. So I originally discovered him through Jeffrey Verity Schofield. And I take Jeffrey's word very seriously. So I checked out Revival Fitness's channel, and I was genuinely enjoying the content. I think he's an intelligent young guy, probably similar age to me, who is representing and giving good information on getting stronger and building natural muscle. And he talks a lot against the nonsense that we see in the fitness community. So overall, I think he is doing a good thing to the overall community. Like, I've been impressed overall. The only thing I was not too keen on, that I didn't like, was the Noble Natty thing when he first started bringing that up, you know? And I would say that I agree wholeheartedly with natural hypertrophy stance. I think staying natural is morally superior. Of course, I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but to me, that's the way to go. And I don't agree with Revival Fitness on that part whatsoever. I also disagree with his diet advice on all the animal products, especially the cholesterol and the saturated fat. I think he needs to learn more about plant-based nutrition, but that's just a minor critique. We're all going to have our differences, right? So in terms of diet and the natural thing, I don't like that. But everything else that he has to offer, I think it's good information. Like, honestly, like, you're natural, you follow his content. He talked about good mornings. He gives really detailed information on certain exercises. I got nothing to complain about. And he is a good resource for that reason. And he's a pretty down-to-earth guy. You know, he's been through some things, and he's just sharing his life experiences, man. You know? So, I have nothing bad to say about him. I just have my minor, like, not too much in agreement with those specific things that I reference. All right. I struggle to lose weight and get lean because I naturally have a very large appetite, and I just end up... Oh, I already did this one. Okay. Hey Alex, my 3 sets of 6 to 8 for close grip bench press on your novice program is 165. What do you think my 1 rep max is with a wide grip? Why do you want to know your 1 rep max if you're pressing 165? Does it really matter? Why don't you just keep focusing on getting stronger, man? The thing is, you're never going to know until you test it, especially as a novice where you're not acclimated to using those higher percentages. So I would say with a regular grip, maybe you can do 185 for the same 3 sets of 6 to 8. And based off that, maybe your 1 rep max is 210, realistically. So that would be my estimation. But does it matter, bro? Like, you're going to get a lot stronger in this to begin with. You still got a lot more gains to milk. But keep it up. That's not a bad close grip bench at all. Okay. I'm the guy that asked about a 270 dead. I probably got it because I have an elite pull-up. With 125 pounds plus for my weight. Also, I hit you up on Instagram. Would you reply? Sure, I'll check out those DMs. I got a lot to respond to. So, yeah, I answered your question before. This is what I'm telling you guys. Weighted calisthenics is the motherfucking truth. You're going to get carryover in all kinds of ways. We have a guy who pulls 270 just off weighted pull-ups, and it's probably all from his back. You know, I would imagine you have some weak glutes, hamstrings, and spinal erectors, but because you got some base of muscle, you're not bad on the deads. And that's kind of how it was for me as well with the pull-up training. I wasn't necessarily a super weak puller when I first started doing it, you know? Obviously, I don't have good leverages for it, but I was all right. I wasn't like these other novices that you see on deads. So, yeah, that makes sense, dude. That makes sense. Through the years, I found that pull-ups are really good for developing grip strength. Like, that's been one of the main contributors into me not failing as much without straps. Now, some guys are going to say, well, Alex, how come in your training video with Justin Lee, you did sumo with straps? Well, how about you guys ask Justin Lee? We both started strapping up around the 500 mark because, as he will attest, the barbell is like a smooth piece of glass. There's no knurling. I can't grip that shit. Impossible. Fucking possible. Including some guys who can probably pull 600 in the meet. They can't pull 600 on the bar that I used. I guarantee you that. You can't grip it. You just can't. So whenever I go to a gym, you better believe I'm going to use straps. And actually, I tried finding the original black bar where I did that 565 sumo. Couldn't find it anywhere. You know? So when you're screwed, it is what it is. You just strap up. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like I'm trying to steal anybody's records. Just saying. I'm a general strength lifter. I don't care about powerlifting. For me. You know, I respect it, but it ain't for me. All right. Bro, I think this is a fake account. Bro, your diet advice is tragic and bad. Or is this the real one? It might be real. Is that Revival Fitness? So if it is you, man, I think it would be a lie to state that my diet advice is tragic and bad if it obviously gave me these elite numbers and physique. You saw me bench 405 at 185 as a lifetime natural. I obviously know how to diet. Obviously, it's not bad. And secondly, I know it's not him, but I'm going to address this thing regardless. My advice goes with the best nutritional guidance in the world. I am not in the wrong here in terms of what's generally accepted by nutritionists and people who actually talk about real health. I'm not on the marketing guru side of this discussion. The carnivore dieters are. They're the fraudsters. They're the liars. They're the people who are trying to sell you shit. The gimmicks, the nonsense, the fads. I don't sell fads. What do I promote? Whole foods, high micronutrient intake, sustainable long-term dieting, and plant-based. I'm not a vegan. I don't have any biases. But I do look at the evidence, and the more plant-based you get, the better your health seems to be. 80% plant-based seems to be a good recommendation for most people. I think most guys are going to have better health with 80% plant-based than 80% animal-based. And yeah, look at the blue zones. Look at Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, how to prevent and reverse heart disease. Like, these are diets that are helping people get out of terminal situations where the deathbed is literally approaching. Plant-based has reversed so many health complications. I'm not in the minority here. I'm actually in the majority. And some guys may actually say that because it's the majority, it's wrong. Because if you're siding with the masses that are the best doctors and nutritionists in the world, then that must be because there's an agenda of some kind. But I don't think there's this big vegetable conspiracy. There might be a conspiracy with these processed garbage foods, but who the fuck is promoting that? Certainly not me. I ain't promoting those fake meats. I'm saying you have some goddamn beans with some potatoes. That's a healthy diet. You have kale. You have high nitric oxide rich foods. You know what I'm saying? No fads up in here. But yeah, I know that's just a fake ass account. At the end of the day, like, you gotta eat whole, unrefined foods, you know? All right. Beans and beef, brother. Actually, if you're gonna have beef, combine it with beans. That's very common in Latino cuisine, and they're right. You ever heard of the, I think it's called the Latino paradox? That's one of the secrets, bro. Learn from different cultures. That's the shit. It has an effect on your digestion when you combine it too. Black beans and lean ground meat is going to be much better for you than just having straight ground beef. Just saying. All right. Periodization. Do you think you'll ever revisit Naturally Enhanced with your new knowledge? So it was revised in 2019. So it's still very relevant. And if I were to change it, the thing is, it wouldn't be naturally enhanced anymore. So even though I don't necessarily train that way anymore in terms of what the goals entail, it doesn't change the fact that the methods are valid. Like, look at my physique before 2020, and it was pretty on point, if you ask me. Like, one of my best physiques ever was in that state. Like, a lot of you guys, you might not know this, but I'm going to show you this right here. My best physique. All right. So, let's get up in here. So, look at this. October 12, 2019. It was very much NE training with the exception of the yoke stuff, but all the other periodization was basically the same. And I looked pretty good. It was volume day, intensity day, extremely classic. I wasn't doing the mixtures of rep ranges on the same days, you know. So if I did a 1 rep max, I would do a 3 sets of 5 right after. I wouldn't necessarily do a 3 sets of 10 per se, unless that was like an accessory right after or something at the very end, you know. So it was very classic concurrent periodization, you know, with some unconventional lifts. Like I was doing a lot of lunges, still doing block pulls at the time, you know, like that's an old school physique right there. That's what it was right here. That's a pretty good physique, you know, using naturally enhanced principles. So around a little bit after this time frame, that's when I started doing my own thing for the full-on bench specialization. And the goals that you see me do now, you know, because that's what I'm trying to work on, bro. But for that reason, I don't really see the point in updating what that system had to offer, because it was valid for what I was talking about. Thomas Peñas, sorry. Where is he getting the questions from? So I have these super chats saved from before because YouTube loves to bury them, and I wanted to ensure that I wasn't going to lose them, you know. So I'm just going through one at a time, and yeah, I'm gonna get to the ones in the comment section, but I still got to finish these, you know. Actually, and sometimes I do throw in over here. I'm just going back and forth. Hey Alex, is it a good idea to bench 3 heavy sets of 5 after maxing out, or should I stick to 3x10? Also, thank you for your videos. You're a good man. Okay, that's crazy because I just mentioned this in the naturally enhanced revision question. So it is a good idea. You can argue that you'll gain almost identical amounts of hypertrophy since those 5 reps are pretty much all effective reps, especially if you go to failure or leave like a rep in reserve, right? So I would say if you're in like the 5 to 7 rep range within close proximity, like that's going to give similar gains to 3x10. So back in the day, we thought it was all about equating volume. So like if you're doing a 3x10, you have to do like a 5x5 to get similar reps. So 25 total reps instead of a 3x5, which would leave you with 15 reps. But it turns out that the mechanical tension is more important rather than the net amount of reps, which is a crazy realization, which means that it's kind of been my suspicion all along, but 3 sets of 5 is going to get you jacked. Like, not to a significant difference of 3x10. Just that it's harder on the joints. Using a higher percentage, there's more fatigue, you could say, you know? But in terms of like, after maxing out, we can make the argument that 3x5 blends better. Like, you're doing true concurrent periodization, volume day, intensity day. Whereas the way that I do things now is more hybridized. But both approaches work for sure. Actually, for pull-ups, I still did a lot of the 3x5, not the 3x10s. And I got 4 plates this year. So, yeah. Either way, you're fine. I think I just did this question. Yeah. Do you think you'll ever... No, I already did that one. Okay. When's the video on the no retraction bench press coming? Has been a game changer for me. Thank you for the ideal. Feeling stronger on my comp bench too. Awesome, man. Yeah, it's all about self-limiting variations, bro. And the no retraction, yo, those are freaking good. Like, a few months ago, I did 315 for 4 on the retracted Larson press, and I had a big freaking arch. Recently, I did 6 reps with no retraction, you know? And I think what helped me was just training that position more, man. Like, you'd be surprised how fast the strength gains can come in. You know, the extended range of motion at the bottom, it does a lot for you. Now, in terms of when the vid's going to come out, I have no freaking idea. Like, there's a lot of videos I got to do. I got a big board right there full of segments, different outlines. A recent one I wanted to do was on the seated overhead press, the benefits of that. Also addressing the exercise graveyard. In fact, the exercise graveyard video might include the retraction element at the same time instead of being a dedicated segment. Or I might not make a video at all and just keep talking about it in workout videos. And eventually you're just going to figure it out that way, you know? So all in due time, my man. What split when starting with calisthenics? Primarily push-ups and pull-ups, and how to incorporate legs, full body, upper lower. I have chicken legs. Yeah, the thing with calisthenics, man, is it's not the best for the legs. You hit a point where you're doing like 10, 20 pistol squats. What do you really do after that point? You might experiment with the shrimp version, where the leg is behind your body. You might do more pause reps, slower tempo, just cleaner form as a whole. But at the end of the day, it's not optimal. I think where it shines for the legs is going to be the isolation movements, like the Nordic leg curl, glute ham raise, and reverse Nordic. So for quad isolation and hamstring isolation, it's a freaking good thing to do, body weight training. But if you just want to get massive legs as a whole, bro, like, do barbell back squats. I promise you, you're going to get much better gains than doing a year of pistol squats. You take 2 dudes, One guy who masters all the progressions on just straight calisthenics. Another guy who runs a basic novice program, takes a squat from like 95 pounds to 275. You're going to see that the lifter has way bigger legs, you know? And I remember in 2018, I went through a phase where I was doing mostly pistol squats, and I look back at those training videos, I'm like, fuck, man, I lost a lot of muscle in my legs. Like, I wasn't able to maintain it with it, even though I thought I did. But you look at me wearing those track pants, I had no ass, and my legs were looking a lot more skinny, you know? So it certainly didn't beat the weight training. Other stuff was good for maintenance, but not replacing pistols over like big compound movements, you know? But yeah, I would say upper body, you're going to be fine with calisthenics. Legs, you should probably lift weights straight up. Or do like the 30 down leg workout, build up to like 40 down, you know what I'm saying? It's going to take some time. That's personal preference, my man. Sometimes boring. The boring way is number one. Thanks for being an inspiration, homie. Just came to say that. Greetings from Albania. Yo, what's up? Well, greetings from Canada. In my DNA, it says Greece and Albania. So I do have some DNA from there, bro. Switch from a push-pull legs 5 times a week to full body 3 times a week. Should I eat less on rest days? Oddly enough, get hungrier on rest days, which is annoying. Thanks. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's your recovery process. And your body needs that extra food in to come back in stronger, especially on a high-frequency system. Like full body 3 times is still high, quote-unquote, because it's every other day. So if you're resting on Tuesday and then Wednesday you got to come in another full body, obviously you're going to be hungry still. So that does make sense. Now, should you eat less on a rest day? It depends what your goals are. Are you recomping? That's pretty much the only time I'd recommend that. Otherwise, eat the same pretty much every day, you know? Or if you're going to like change it, it shouldn't be too drastic. Like if you're in a calorie surplus, the rest days can be less of a surplus, but you're still in a surplus, is what I'm saying. You know? So maybe the rest day is a lean bulk surplus and the training day is a bulk surplus, just as an example, right? Not that it really matters though. I would say at the end of the week, right, you got to hit your desired calories. So if you're bulking on 3K cals, let's say 3,200 calories, right, times 7 days, that's 22,400 calories a week. If you're hitting that amount, even though some days have different levels of calories, then it doesn't matter. You still hit the net amount. So on a weekly basis, it's not going to change that much. Whereas if you're at 20,000 calories instead of 22,000, now you know that you messed it up. Some days it just wasn't equating the proper way. So you got to look at the synergy here. You know, that's why a lot of skinny guys are like, oh, I eat a bunch of food, but then you look at the weekly calories and it's F all. So it doesn't matter that you had this big cheat meal on Friday if the whole rest of the week before that, you didn't eat much. All right. Deficit sumo deadlifts versus sumo deads for hypertrophy. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend either. If your goals are hypertrophy, why don't you just do an RDL or a low handle trap bar deadlift or maybe a stiff-legged deadlift. A sumo deadlift is going to reduce your range of motion. We know that much. It has a really bad stimulus to fatigue ratio because you got to load up all these plates on it. And it's less of a hinge than other variations. It's, you know, so why don't you just use a pure hinge if your goal is to build the muscles of the hinge? Separate it, bro. You do a squat and an RDL. You don't have to sumo, is what I'm saying. You know, and you're going to get that consistent time under tension, quote unquote, instead of breaking up the eccentric concentric chain. For bodybuilding, you don't need that. It's like me telling you guys to all switch to the dead bench for growth. You know, pin press, I mean. Where you're going to break it up every time on the pins. Why do that? Just do a pause bench or a touch and go. All right. Alex, is scapular restriction from backpack weighted push-ups a concern for you? Not really, man. I never had an issue protracting my scapula with the backpack. I think what gets guys is when they put too many weight plates in the bag. But if you use my method with the chains, it's fine. You're not going to have this big thing sticking out right on your scap, you know? The chains are kind of flush. It's like if I loaded up your bag with sand, it was just this big, heavy compressed thing, it would be relatively even on your back, you know? That's kind of what you got to do. You got to fill that backpack up in a way where there's not all these protruding things coming out, such that you're all contorted, quote unquote. So for me, it's never been an issue on that level. But I would imagine if I had all plates, then yeah, for sure. Overhead press pausing or touch and go, it can be both, man. Like, I use the pause overhead press as a variation. Most of the time, it's going to be touch and go. And the reason is that you're not really bouncing anything off your body. It doesn't make a difference. Like, I don't really notice much of an effect. To be honest, it might be a 5% difference. Whereas the bench, it's a lot more than that. So, if you can touch and go bench 315, you might only be able to pause bench like 285 or 275. Whereas the overhead press is just extremely minor. You know, you can even pause during the set itself. So let's say you're doing a set of 10. On your first 6 is touch and go. And then the last 4, you're kind of rest pausing in a sense. So when you rest pause, you're obviously going to be down here, right? I often do that when I'm fatigued. So I don't think it matters that much. Not to mention the fact that whether you touch your chest or not, you're still going through your active range of motion on the vertical press. So if I'm doing the OHP in a 100% vertical position, if my arms are here, so like really like right under my chin versus there, well, when I go down here, I'm actually below my active range of motion, kind of, just like a tiny bit. So it's like that extra range where you're pausing, you don't really need that to begin with, right? Yeah, I hope I didn't confuse you with that one. And then when we talk about the seated version on a high incline, like you're getting enough range of motion that it doesn't matter, you know? But certainly as a variation, it could be useful. Sorry if I confused you on the end. Forget about that part. All right, guys. We're going to start wrapping up in a bit. I'm starting to get tired. And I'm losing my train of thought. You know, we went through a lot of questions today. I'm going to do like 3 to 5 more tops. So let's get it. Home gym substitute for reverse hypers. I actually made a video on that years ago. You can check it out on the channel, bro. Aaron, would you say having your chest day directly after a shoulder day is a bad idea for recovery and strength? Yes, it's a very bad idea. And in general, many of these bro splits have tons of overlap. It doesn't even make sense. Or like, here's what makes no sense. When people do push-pull legs, right? On the pull day, they're going to do conventional deadlifts. And then the leg day that comes right after, they're doing RDLs. What the fuck? You're doing hip hinges back to back. Not to mention the fact that your glutes and hamstrings did get taxed from those conventional deads. So it's going to affect your squats now. Put this in perspective. If a freaking barbell row of all things can impact a squat, what do you think a deadlift is going to do? A freaking deadlift. Where you can lift heavy and creates all kinds of fatigue. So if you're going to do, what's the order you were saying here? If you're going to do a military press, you know, the OHP, maybe a super high incline as well. So you're getting some upper chest in there as well. First of all, it's not just the front delts that are going to get worked. The triceps are going to get demolished. And then you're going to do some isolation work. So maybe some side raises, some glute raises. A lot of guys like to do upright rows as well. Or whatever you're going to do. Let's say you have 4 exercises for your shoulders. Bro, 100% guaranteed you're going to bench less on the next day. I promise it. There's no way in hell you'll be able to match your numbers because the front delts actually do contribute a lot to your presses. It's not just a pec movement, especially when you get stronger and using higher percentages. So I suppose if you're using a really low percentage for higher reps, it's more doable, but at the end of the day, your body's not recovered. If you're going to train those muscles back to back like that, it's got to be at least a day of rest in between. And even then, it wouldn't be ideal. And my personal recommendation for twice a week, muscle protein synthesis, or in general, like you're pressing twice a week, you want a 72-hour split between those two. So if I'm going to do an overhead press on Monday, the next time I'm benching is Thursday. It's not going to be Wednesday unless I'm pressing 3 times a week. But if it's only twice a week, 72 hours. That's how you divide it. So your example where you're doing overhead press, you know, it's not going to work out well, is what I'm saying. That might even contribute to overuse injuries. You don't want that. Alex, is the hack squat good substitute for box squat? I get lower back pain from any free squat. So get that checked out, man. You maybe have a herniated disc, or maybe you got to work on the spinal rectors. They're just weak. Maybe instead of avoiding these movements because they hurt, find out why they hurt, fix the issue, and then you can milk them. No problems. Now, it could also be that, well, actually you said any free squat, but if box squats hurt your back, then I would do a regular free squat, but you just said you can't do that. Or maybe you can do belt squats. Ever tried those? Now, another thing I would ask you is, what are your goals? If it's purely hypertrophy, then a hack squat is a fine substitution. It's going to be a lot more quad bias, so you're going to have to do something for your glutes and hamstrings right after. So don't think that's just going to be enough for your legs. You might have to do a unilateral motion, isolate those hamstrings especially. But in terms of the squat motion itself, hack squats are goated, bro. Some would even argue that it's better than barbell back squats for pure hypertrophy. It's just, you're already stable. You just got to press with your freaking legs, man. And yo, respect, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the super chat. Real recognize. And I would have loved to answer one of your questions, but we're done with that for today, okay? But much love, thank you. Yeah, going back to your hack squat question, a lot of hypertrophy coaches are pretty much exclusively doing that. Pendulum hack squats, all the variations that those entail. Even like a sissy hack squat where you get on your toes. I think that's the Vince Gironda method. Yeah, man. You don't need to do barbell back squats if you're just trying to grow your legs. You know, maybe at some point I'm not even going to do a back squat. Though actually, I think I love them too much to stop. But yeah, don't listen to these powerlifters who are going to say, yeah, you got to do barbells. No, you don't. Let's not be biased here. That's how you turn people off. Yeah, plat squats. Yeah, for sure. How to increase your Nordic? Man, I'm still working on it myself, but I'm doing the reverse band method. So you start off with something like a monster mini band, you downgrade it to a mini, and then a micro mini. And you also adjust your torso positioning. So at the start, it's going to look a lot like a glute ham raise. Your hips aren't going to be maximally flexed. So instead of you being this one unit that's coming down like that, you're like that, okay? You're bent while you're doing the Nordic, which kind of reduces the absolute load. And that's how you scale it, by straightening out your body more and reducing the resistance bands. Then eventually, you start doing negatives only. You got the mats right on top of you. So you stop right here, come back up. You do partials in this range, get a little bit deeper, boom. A little bit deeper, boom. Then eventually, all the way. So check out knees over toes if you want to see all of those regressions. More of a bodyweight skill than exercise. Changed my mind. Potentially. I don't know. You know, you have a lot of guys that are strong at glute ham raises, but they can't do a Nordic curl. Why is that the case? Is it because you're right? It actually is a skill that you have to practice? Like, how come I'm so weak at them? You know? I can RDL 405 for over 15 reps. How come I can't do one Nordic? Obviously, it's a different type of strength. It's pure knee flexion here. But still, there's a lot of guys with jacked hamstrings that can't do it. At least on their first try. They got to really dial it in, you know? Whereas glute hams, they can go weight it instant, you know? All right. How much do you have to overhead press to do a handstand push-up? I don't really know, man. Because a handstand push-up is actually a partial range of motion. So you're not... On the OHP, your hands are down here, right? In a handstand press, they're about here. So based off that, I would actually say less than your body weight, realistically speaking. And that's why you have some dudes who don't have massive shoulders that can do handstand push-ups. The ones who do, it's because they're doing it off a deficit. And that's what I personally recommend for size, by the way. You're going to want to have 2 plyometric boxes or some parallettes to match the range of motion. Remember, partials are always going to be less effective on vertical presses. Unless it's like close enough, like down here. Like you don't need to have your hands there. It's active range of motion. Maximum stretch in the delts. You know what I'm saying? All right. We're going to end off this Q&A, bro. Bros. So, final question of this Q&A. My arms are 15.5 inches after 1.25 years of lifting. 6 months ago, I asked how to get them up, and it was 14.5 inches. I am 5'9", 166. So it's not really a question. You're more asserting the gains that you made. First of all, that is excellent progress. An inch in 6 months. Don't let the naysayers fool you. That's good. We live in a world of fake natties where they'll gain an inch in 1 to 3 months while being advanced lifters. You're doing it as a novice lifter, most likely. A late novice. Actually, probably intermediate right now. That's not a bad measurement at all. And it's solid progress. Like, that's realistic. A lot of you guys can expect that, you know? So you should be very proud of yourself, my man. Now, what I would say is if you want to get them even bigger, man, it's just going to take time. Like, you just got started in this game. My arms weren't 15.5 inches after even a year and a half, I think. It took years to blow them up. So just off your starting point being 14.5, you're probably going to be one of those guys who's got at least 17, you know, once you're really putting in that work. I see you getting 16, maybe towards the end of the year. The year after that, 16.5. Next year, 17, maybe 17.5. Like, you got so many more gains to make. Like, you just got started. And it's a... Trust, a lot of guys are going to be jelly of the gains you just made. Because this is the beginner gains. You got more to make. So, yeah. That's about all I got to say. I'm getting a lot of questions on my smile for some reason. Saying it looks real nice. Well, one of my secrets is that I had braces when I was younger. Not because I had crooked teeth, but I had this thick piece of skin like at the top of my teeth, right? And the way I couldn't get rid of it right away. I had to open up the mouth more with the braces and the retainer before I was able to snip that off, you know? So, yeah, I did that at a young age, and that's what it's been. And then obviously, you know. So you admit your smile isn't natty. I don't know. Is it not natty? Because it was just manual forces. It's just resistance. There's no chemicals that were injected in my mouth or anything like that. But yeah, it's not enhanced smile. Actually, yeah, you know what? It is enhanced. Let's agree to that. Naturally enhanced smile. Not natty smile. Natty. You look so jacked, man. Yeah, I'm getting comments on my upper chest as well. I'm going to make a video soon, but I'm specializing, bro. A lot more focus on the inclines. I've neglected them for too long. I want to get 315 off the 30-degree angle, and then I want to get it off the 45 degree. And I ordered myself some 10-pound plates. I'm going to be stacking those up, doing some heavy incline dumbbell presses at home. You know, do some super high reps with the hundreds. How about that? Full range of motion, even adding some accommodating resistance to that. It's going to be fun. We got a lot more gains to make. I've certainly been neglecting this area for years. You know, like, it's not bad though. You see my upper chest? Not bad. But compared to my lower chest, there's a big difference for sure. All in due time. All in due time. All right. Uncommon Sense. Keep up the great work, bro. Thank you very much. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that super chat. You just showed up at the very end just to show some love. Yo, it's been amazing, honestly. All you guys. Just some of you dudes donated to me without questions. You just came by. Hey, just showing support. You changed my life. I love your videos. Great information. It's amazing. So much love to you all. Honestly, this was a crazy Q&A. So good. So good. And it's going to take me quite a bit of time to timestamp this. So I'm going to end off right now. Get to work. Guys, thanks for stopping by. Your real ones. Questions were fantastic. I guess I'll see you again in a month from now. So we're going to try to keep the consistency going, not spam you with these live Q&As. So enjoy. Come back in a few hours for the timestamps. And I'll see you around. Y'all have a good one.